All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another market close. It's Monday, April 22nd, 3:46 p.m. We got a little bit of a bounce, folks. We got a little bit of a bounce in the markets today. I have some reasoning for why I think we got that bounce, and we'll talk about what that bounce means. But so far, what I'm looking at right now is Robinhood up 3.5%. Palantir, it was at 21. Now it's at 2093. It's up 2.2%. S&P 500, it's at 499. It was at 501 at one point today. Not bad. MicroStrategy up 12%. Intel up 0.6. AMD up 1.2. TFC, it was down in the morning, and now it's up 3%. Not bad at all. Netflix still relatively flat, but market had a little bit of recovery. Obviously, Nvidia, $795, trying to make its way back to $800. Why is this happening? We'll talk about that in a bit, and we'll keep going from there. But I have some theories, and we're going to have Tom Lee not on the show. He's going to be on CNBC. One day we'll get him on the show. We'll get his thoughts as well and see what he has to say. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's get started. Otto, Ryan, Ian, Doug C. What's up? What's up? Jager Float. I'm Beneficial. Jimbo Slice. Belly Pork. Joshua. Ryan. Valero. Broccoli Bob. Ray. Sam says, happy birthday, Amit. It's not my birthday yet. That's going to be in October, but thank you for the early 5-month pre-birthday wish. I really appreciate it. But in October, that's when I'll have a real birthday. Sam, Lena, you guys said I'm late, dude. I'm it's not late. When I press play at 3:45, if it goes live at 3:46, that's not late. That's like me being here, but it ends up starting like 30 seconds late. But I'm here. We're ready, and it's time to talk. Player one, Harvey, Mark, what's up? What's up? All right, let's get Tom Lee on. Let's get his thoughts. I think he has some interesting perspectives on what's going on in the macro, and then I'll give my thoughts on the macro as well. And the reasons for why I think today might not be a dead cat bounce, which is my question for the chat. Do you think it's a dead cat bounce or not? I think there's an argument why it could be, but there's also a pretty damn good compelling case for why it's not a dead cat bounce. So let's get into it and keep going from there. Let's see what Tom Lee has to say, and then we will move forward. Also, Bitcoin's running. We'll talk about Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin's finally waking up. This stupid halving thing ended up fixing Bitcoin. Here we go.
Who's here? Tom Lee, Fundstrat Global Advisors co-founder and a CNBC contributor. I was thinking, who would I like to talk to? And here you are. There are some reasons that you think maybe we're nearing the end of whatever you want to call this tough period for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a painful 2 weeks. I think some of the ways to think about why we're near an end is inflation expectations have way overshot to the upside. 1 year forward inflation is at 4.5%. It's where it was in October 2022, March 23, October 2023. So at the peak pessimism.
That's one thing.
Yeah, short interest has soared. Like 1 week, Goldman shows 1 week short interest in ETFs rose by the most since 2022. Median short interest in stocks is at basically a 3-year high. We're really oversold. If you look at internal measures like the percentage of stocks over their 20-day moving average, it's down to 8%. Again, a turning point. And now we just need a positive catalyst. I think as long as inflation tracks better than expected, I think we're in a good position to rally.
You look at different things than Katie Stockton, obviously. She said that there has been some damage. Therefore, she thinks there's maybe some more work. Not a whole lot more work, but maybe some more. Do you look at that? Has there been some damage, or do you see all positive indicators as far as maybe we're getting close to the end of the beginning of the end, end of the beginning?
Yeah, I think probabilities probably is what she's looking at. And I think there has been a lot of damage to the markets, but there are ways to look at why things could be turning. Mark Newton, our head of technical strategy, says the cycle turn date he was looking for is April 20th, and that's
420.
Yeah, 420.
Perfect.
And if you look at things like the DeMark count, we're at almost a 7, so we're only 1 or 2 days from a potential bottom or turning point.
And we're oversold. We actually got oversold really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, they say bull markets rise in an escalator, fall in an elevator. So it's what you'd expect in a rising trend is sharp corrections, and it shakes people out. And I think there's a lot of top callers, but to me, I think this is a good opportunity.
So also the day before 420, did you know 420-24 is frontwards and backwards?
Oh, it's a palindrome number?
Certainly is. But the day before was the halving. And what does that mean to you for your Bitcoin?
It's a reminder of the sound money of Bitcoin, right? Because it's pre-programmed every 210,000 blocks to cut the block reward. We know it means you're cutting supply, but demand has been strong, and actually Bitcoin network usage has really been strong because of things like the Brune protocol. So you've kind of made the demand side stronger and the supply side smaller. So I think it's upward pressure on price.
So you always have crazy forecasts. What's your forecast now? And I'm doing something while you're doing it.
Yeah,
What's your forecast?
well, I think Bitcoin definitely makes new all-time highs this year. So we think something like 150,000 is probable this year. And then longer term, I don't think there's anything wrong with those targets people have, like 500,000 for Bitcoin or much higher.
I was opening this.
So Tom's bullish on Bitcoin as always, but he's also bullish in terms of what's happening in the macro. Now, the reason Tom's bullish in terms of what's happening in the macro is because he believes core PCE is going to come in lower than what everyone is expecting. And that is really the only thing the Fed cares about. I mean, I know they kind of care about CPI, but core PCE is the big thing. And then outside of that, he also believes that we're oversold, right? And if you look at the technicals, RSI on the QQQ was 29. So we did get a bit oversold there. The reasons I think that this might not be a dead cat bounce is that Q1 earnings are going to go well. Well, they've gone well so far, right? 70% of companies have beat earnings, and the big ones this week, Meta, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, I think they're going to crush. I don't think they're going to do bad. We know Tesla's going to suck, but I mean, all of us know that at this point. I don't think it matters that much. I think the main three are going to do well: Meta, Google, Microsoft, and that's going to be important. Oil prices are down. That's really nice to see today. Iran, Israel likely calmed down. This morning, Iran basically said we're done with Israel, and like we gave them their punishment. So like that seems to be cooling down. And then again, RSI on some core indices was down. Now, the reason why this might be a dead cat bounce is if earnings does not surprise to the upside the way analysts are expecting. So SMCI not being able to give their preliminary results, that's a little bearish. Nvidia, maybe it just doesn't come in as hot as the market thinks it's going to be, or it cools down in terms of the demand that they pull forward. So that's the reason I think it's a dead cat bounce. The other thing is all the Fed officials last week kept saying like inflation is too high, yada, yada, yada. If we get another piece of news this week outside of PCE that it continues to insinuate that inflation is going to be sticky, whether it's shelter, energy, whatever it may be, then yeah, that could re-trigger the markets to get a bit upset. But it is interesting seeing the markets buying those dip, seeing the market buying this dip, because it's like there's not a real reason for the markets to get super excited after a day on Friday where we had a horrific sell-off. Horrific in the context of, you know, the sell-off that we've seen, or the past 4 months performance. But the reason I think the market's excited today is because they felt that like that was a good enough sell-off for them to get back in. And it's very interesting when you see stuff like that happen. Enphase, rate sensitive stock, up 3.5%, QQQ up 1%, S&P up basically 1%, Nvidia up almost 4%, SMCI ending up green as we get into the close. There's a lot of green. There is some red. Uber's red. You know, that's an interesting one. I have a lot of stuff to talk about on Tesla as well. We'll get into it. There's a decent amount we have to talk about. Elon made a bunch of tweets this morning. He said some things that are very interesting. Also, you know how this morning I said, I don't know if there's a scenario that Tesla bounces on earnings? I found the scenario, and the scenario is within a piece that was published on Bloomberg this morning that kind of highlights how Elon's probably thinking of the rollout of the robotaxi, that if he's good at communicating, maybe he gets the street to get excited. So after the market close, because I want to spend a good 10 minutes on this Tesla segment, we'll get into all that. But the reason I'm saying this is because Uber's down, maybe because the market's getting a little bit more excited that robotaxi is going to become a thing. And we've seen Uber show some weakness over the past couple of weeks as that robotaxi data has come out. ARM is up 6%. Look at CleanSpark, up 11% on the day. Did not expect CleanSpark to be up on the day. The reason it's up, again, the market's getting excited for that halving event. They think that Bitcoin's moving. Bitcoin right now, I believe 66.5, 66.493. Dude, I haven't looked at Bitcoin in 3 hours. I'm getting good at calling this shit randomly. Literally 66.5. I swear I haven't looked at Bitcoin in like 3 hours. So Bitcoin right here, 66.5. Really interesting to see that have a run up from the lows of 60,000 last week. And obviously after the halving event, that's getting the market excited about the miners. Marathon up 6%, CleanSpark up 11.25%, and then Coinbase here 225 up 6%, and Robinhood getting some love today as well at 3.31%. Robinhood and Coinbase now number 12 and 13 in the App Store in the United States for the finance section. So a lot of those downloads starting to come back after taxes. And obviously, we know the catalyst for Robinhood, and it probably does not deserve to be at $17.19, but the market's selling off. Therefore, Robinhood sells off. Same thing with Coinbase. Coinbase is probably closer to like 245-ish, 250-ish, but it's been sold off with the market. MicroStrategy as well, 12.37% up on the day. Nice day for crypto. Now, the thing is, we keep going through this over and over again, and then we see, Bitcoin fall to 60,000, then Robinhood takes a dip, MicroStrategy takes a dip, Bitfarms takes a dip, Coinbase takes a dip. All of these guys rise up and down with Bitcoin. We have not seen sustained momentum in Bitcoin past this like resistance at 72,000. And so hopefully over the coming days, we see that. But until we see that, I don't think we can definitively say that Bitcoin is effectively moving the needle yet. Halving event has passed. Yes, the halving event was last Friday. It was on 420. And so, or it was on 419, right? Well, it was basically at the night. Did anyone do anything for 420? That was on Saturday, right? Yeah, I did nothing. I did not partake in the activities that most people partake in on 420. But let me know if anyone else did anything. But the halving event was at midnight on 420. Now, I did do a little bit of buying today. Very small buy, nothing crazy, about $100. I bought 5 more debit spreads of SoFi, 17 $20 spreads. So I bought the 17 call, sold the $20 call on top of it. Currently, it is trading for, at least at the time of the screenshot, 21 cents. My average is about 23 cents. So I'm down about 7% on the position. And look, my perspective on SoFi here is I've started to realize I think management really needs to highlight this AWS of fintech part of their business. If they don't show progress on that, I don't know if lending or member growth is going to do enough to move the needle on SoFi, given the macro it's entering into next week is just not the most friendliest macro. I mean, if this was a month ago, I think they could get away with the earnings and still pop for their usual earnings pop. This time, they've got to show progress on Galileo and Technesis. If they don't, then I just don't know how significant the pump will be. So my plan is to get rid of this after earnings. I mean, just being totally honest, I think this can exit for a good 40 or 50% gain, which would be about $2,000, 2,200, which is a win to me, in my opinion, given the amount of time I've held onto this. Basically, that would be like 40% in a month, which is not, about 2 months. So it would be 20% per month, which is not crazy. But I think it can get even higher if they really announce something special on the B2B tech side. And based on what they announced, maybe we'll hold this thing because, I mean, if SoFi gets to $12, $13 by the end of the year, it can be worth a lot more. But as of now, I don't know. We got to see if they can actually show us that there's meaningful growth on the B2B tech side. If you want a high growth tech bank that's safer than most US banks, look at EQ Bank. Yeah, and that's the other thing about SoFi is, again, the valuation as a bank does start to make a little bit more sense. But if you put on the tech side of the business on top of the bank multiple, it doesn't make that much sense. It looks like they should get a higher multiple. This should be closer to $15, $16. So we'll see how that plays out. But right now, that is the big thing for SoFi. We'll do a lot on Tesla. I have a lot to say on Tesla in about a minute as the market closes. But right now, Tesla down 3.48%, 141. It could be worse. It was at 138. It bounced from 138, which was nice to see. But overall, Tesla has been a loser today. And in 30 seconds, we'll look at all the other companies and how they closed out for the day. But we do have a lot to talk about on Tesla when it's done. And we'll keep going. 20% a month isn't high. That's the top of the market. Well, remember, these are options, dude. These are options. So like with options, 20% a month is not crazy. I mean, like if you time them right, which I think SoFi at 680 was the bottom. If I'm wrong on that, then all right, I deserve to be wrong on that. But if I got the bottom on that, if it pops to $9, then yeah, like you're going to see a decent return on a leveraged play. Question is, can SoFi actually pop to that level on April 29th? All right, Monday, April 22nd, 4 p.m. Stock market is now closed. The markets are now closed, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's see what we got in the markets, and then we got to talk about Tesla. All right, so Big Seven. Also, let me know, what did you buy today or what did you sell? Someone, I don't know if they're here in the chat, but someone sold 1,000 Tesla shares to buy Rocket Lab. Let me know what you guys think about that trade. They just tweeted at me that they finished the trade. So I think they have like 4,000 Tesla shares. They sold 1,000 to buy Rocket Lab, and they're expecting a 4 to 5x on Rocket Lab by the end of the year. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but let me know what you guys think about that trade, because someone told me on Twitter that that's the move they made. Nvidia up 4%, Amazon up 2%, Google up 1.43, Meta up 0.14. You also have some Meta news we got to talk about. Microsoft up 0.46, Apple up 0.51. Tesla was the one that was down for the Max 7, down 3.7% on the day. Crypto, Robinhood up 3.37% on the day. Coinbase up 7%. MicroStrategy up 12.7%. Bitcoin right here, 66,561. Let's see if we can get back to 67,000. Marathon up about 6% on the day. And then Hut 8 Mining as well. Hut 8 Mining up 14% on the day. Not bad for that one. Let's see what else we got on the fintech side. SoFi actually had a decent day. I mean, that's the reason I bought SoFi, because everything was green but SoFi. So I was like, all right. I mean, SoFi was green, but the options weren't that green. So I was like, let me take a look at them. SoFi up 2% of the day, 725. I do have a put on SoFi as well, cash card put for 750 right after earnings. So if it's above 750, then that one should expire worthless and we should be good. PayPal was green today, up 1.4%. Square up 1.6%, and then Coinbase again up 7%. Affirm up 3% on the day, and then Robinhood 3.37%, 17.13 after hours. It was 17.19 throughout the day. Semis, interesting day on the semis. Nvidia was up, AMD was up, SMCI up a little bit, Intel up a little bit, On Semiconductor was down a bit, Qualcomm, I think they have earnings coming up soon, 1.62%, Broadcom up 1.64%. TSM, there was another earthquake apparently today in Taiwan, and it was a 6.1 magnitude earthquake apparently that happened today for Taiwan. In Taiwan. And so the Taiwan semi not really affected too much by that. I don't think the earthquake was that significant or lasted that long, but that was something that happened earlier today. This one was up 1.62%, sold off on earnings last week. And then ARM here jumped about 6.79% after being down last week as well. EVs, Li Auto had a rough day. So NIO was down, or actually, wow, NIO was up. I thought NIO was down. NIO up 5.39%. Lucid took a haircut, down 2.89%. Rivian popped a little bit, up 2%. Tesla was down. Then Li Auto, they cut their prices in China as well. So these guys were down 9% on the day as well. Snapchat down a little bit. United, wow, United 5%. Dude, if you got into the airlines this year, hell of a trade. United is up this year. United's up 32% year to date. It's insane, dude. Everyone's looking for alpha in all these tech companies. United freaking Airlines is up 32%. That's one that was just not, I don't think any of us were looking at that one, dude. We were just not looking at the airlines because I think we thought travel had come back. So we're like, all right, travel had come back. So like, what's the catalyst? And I actually don't even know why they're up this much. I have to go through their numbers. I know their earnings were good, but I don't know exactly why the street got this excited for the earnings for the airlines. But these guys are up. So not bad for the airlines. All right, let me see what else you guys are talking about here in terms of what you bought. We got P Mills bought the Palantir dip today, 904 shares at 2056. Not bad for the dip. Someone said they sold Rocket Lab to buy Tesla. Okay, so you did the opposite of what someone else did. Bought Palantir, sold CleanSpark. Not a bad sell on CleanSpark. I mean, CleanSpark might be volatile, but it's up 10% of the day. Not bad. Toby bought some PayPal. I think that makes sense. My 12,964 shares of Ford is up $10,000 today. That's nice. Got some Ford in the chat. There we go. You're getting a nice little dividend from those 12,000 shares. Claudina says she bought Nvidia and SMCI. Okay, there we go. Not bad. Now look, I think SMCI and Nvidia, they're attractive because they're down from the Friday drop. I just don't know how bad those SMCI earnings are going to be. Not disclosing preliminary. I don't want to read too much into it. And maybe it's not a big deal, but I think it's a little bearish. So we'll see what it ends up turning out. At the end of the day, if their growth is, continuing to be triple digits, I think they're going to be fine. Same thing with Nvidia. Nvidia dip hopefully is not a falling knife, and it's going to continue to grow harder. Matt says bought Amazon and MetaLeaps. Okay, not bad. Amazon and MetaLeaps. I think these guys falling into earnings is also really exciting for some of the option plays, especially the leaps. You can sell those back after earnings. If they have a nice pop. I mean, if Meta just gets back to all-time highs or Amazon gets back to all-time high, they both would be up 10%, almost 15%, which is not bad. I mean, the leaps would probably grow 30 to 40% based on the strike you have. So not too bad on those. Okay, let's talk about Tesla. Let's get into what's going on in the world of Tesla. So Elon Musk just tweeted some interesting things this morning, and let me know what you guys think about what he tweeted. I also found some things that I want to show you guys that are making me a little bit more bullish going into earnings. I'm not that bullish, but some of the stuff he said I think is interesting. So first of all, let's look at the options. Okay, $155 strikes expiring this week. There's 28,000 of them. 28,000 people, but technically 28,000 calls, and some of these are not buy calls. They're being sold against different positions, but you get my point. There is a lot of bullish nature for Tesla to get to 155 by the end of this week, which Tesla right now at 140, that would be a nice bump if that happens. There's also 11,000 puts on Tesla at $130 expiring this Friday. So I think one side is going to be right. I do not think we get flat action. This is not going to be a basic earnings. It's either going to go to the upside or the downside. But right now, you've got a lot of the calls and the puts working against each other based on these different strikes. So that's what we have on the options market when it comes to Tesla. Now, this is the breaking news that happened this morning. Okay, Tesla cut their entire growth content advertising team. What that basically means is they cut pretty much everyone responsible for building advertising. So it's not like there's a lot of advertising divisions. There was like one core 40-person team. Tesla got rid of them. So Tesla was like, yeah, you guys got the boot. Now, everyone was like, holy crap, why did Tesla get rid of them? Are they not focusing on advertising? What's going on? And then Elon says the ads were too generic. Elon was like, yeah, the ads sucked. So we got rid of them. Tesla earnings are tomorrow. They're going to be tomorrow. So this was just hilarious, dude. This is like a CEO basically saying, yeah, this part of the business sucks. And I'm just going to let everybody know that they suck. So they suck. I mean, Elon has zero sympathy for publicly letting millions of people know that the ads team got cut because they sucked. Like usually when someone gets laid off, there's like this politically correct way to lay them off. Elon's like, no, they sucked. That's why they got fired, which was really interesting to see. Now, having said that, because that happened, I thought what was interesting is that Tesla kept bouncing from 140 to 141 and the dip kept getting eaten under 138. The firing of the advertising team is interesting because it's not aggressively cutting costs. Getting rid of 40 people is not going to increase the operating margins by any substantial amount. And it seems to be pivoting from the attempt Tesla has made at making advertising. Either Tesla creates a brand new advertising team, which I think is possible. Maybe they just hire better people. Or maybe Elon believes FSD and robotaxis will be so good that they're going to sell themselves. And I guess the street's going to decide if they believe him tomorrow. So my question to the chat, as Vince says, wartime CEO, do you think it was a good decision to cut the employees on the advertising team? I mean, look, advertising is difficult. I mean, this is why advertising agencies exist. It's not easy to do marketing and attention. It is the most difficult thing on the planet, in my opinion, to be able to capture people's attention in a meaningful way that allows them to convert on an idea, a product, a brand, a service that you're trying to promote. I mean, it's just not an easy thing to do. And especially with social media, like, yeah, everyone has access to distribution because anyone can tweet anything. But the problem is everyone has access, right? So the barrier to entry is substantial. And knowing how to use the algorithms correctly, especially when it comes to paid media, is not an easy thing to do. So as a result of that, I do think the ads were generic. I've seen Tesla ads before on Facebook. They look like it's a Chevy, ad or a Mercedes-Benz ad. Like it's just a car on a mountain. And it's like, 5% APR or something. Like it's not exciting, right? So it is astonishing to me that people, part of the world's most innovative and exciting company, could not figure out how to do good ads, could not figure out how to make interesting ads. And that's really weird, right? Like that you were working with Tesla and you couldn't make exciting ads. And I think that's also what fueled Elon's frustration when it came to the ads, when he's like, wait a second, you guys are advertising Tesla. And if we're not necessarily increasing market share, maybe the ads aren't that good. Now, one could also point to the fact that they're not spending as much as they need to on ads. So some of the bulls that are always been against advertising, their argument today was, well, if Elon's getting rid of the ads, then that proves our thesis that advertising was never the problem and the price cuts are the right way to go. Because some bulls are just like so against advertising because they don't think Tesla needs to advertise all that stuff. The bears are making a different argument. And the bears argument is like, no. You guys haven't actually focused on advertising. Advertising is a very nuanced thing. It takes time to be able to get right. Second of all, you guys have cut prices a lot over the past 18 months. Deliveries are their lowest that they've ever been over the past 18 months. So it's not like the price cuts are substantially increasing the deliveries, which means rather than cutting the prices and screwing the margins, why don't you focus on getting the advertising right? And I think Elon has basically made up his mind that if the ads suck, maybe we're not going to focus on that, at least yet. Now, having said that, let's talk about what might happen tomorrow on earnings. And in the morning, I gave a lot of the bear case. Here's some of the bull case. Here's Ed Ludlow, who put out an article today that kind of changed a little bit of my perspective on thinking about what the robotaxi could be. Here's what he said today from the sources he talked to around what Elon might talk about tomorrow that could get the street a bit more excited.
Musk himself has directed that the focus be on a purpose-built robo-taxi. My understanding from sources is no, the $25,000 EV is not cancelled or scrapped, but it's highly misunderstood. And the relation between the two of them, a robo-taxi and a cheap EV, is that Tesla can't do both in parallel, apparently. So the way it was explained to me is that Tesla has done a lot of work, both on the components that go into a $25,000 EV and the production method of how it's built. And that work was always destined to show fruition in late 2025. But how it manifests itself is not some kind of standalone cheap single EV model. What they'll do is take that work now, based on the new emphasis on robotaxi, and put it into their existing lineup, Model Y, Model 3, and future iterations of it, and lower the price on average of their EVs through that method. Musk himself.
So kind of this platform approach to being able to build out the robotaxi, which does involve making a cheaper car, but that cheaper $25,000 car was never going to be the standalone competitor to a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla, but rather was going to be a robotaxi always. And then that platform was going to be used to make the next generations of the Model Y, Model 3, etc., not only cheaper, but more effective. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, quite frankly. I'm trying to still reconcile what that means and like how, if I don't fully understand it, I'm sure people in the chat don't like fully understand it. I don't know how Elon's going to communicate that tomorrow. He's going to have to do it in a way that gets the street excited. I think what the street's going to hear is, you've been promising us an M2. You're now telling us, oh no, we misunderstood what the M2 was. The M2 was always this like fancy robotaxi. And because of that, we're just going to sell off this stock. Like we don't know how to reconcile the fact that this M2 is happening along with a robotaxi at the same time. So in essence, the drop in price pays for your FSD service. Correct. That is one component to this. And like, I think that makes sense, but I also don't know if that makes sense. I think it's going to be a very interesting call tomorrow. We'll be live starting at like 3:30 to try to figure out and reconcile, what does this mean and what are they trying to do? Now, having said that, I found this book, or I not found this book. I found this tweet that someone put out around a page 503 from Walter Isaacson's book on Elon talking about the robotaxi. Now, I thought this was really, really interesting. So let's read a little bit from here. So we want to make sure we are assessing the risk with you, Von Halsen, which is one of the executives, told Musk. If we go down a path of having no steering wheel and FSD is not ready, we won't be able to put them on the road. He suggested that they make a car that had a steering wheel and pedals that could be easily removed. Basically, our proposal is to bake them in right now, but remove them when we are allowed to. Obviously, Elon has been very against the whole concept of a steering wheel because he wants an official robotaxi. So one of his execs is saying, hey, what if we like bake it in and eventually we can get rid of it if it doesn't work? Musk just shook his head. The future would not get here fast enough until they forced it. And then Von Halsen says, small ones, which we can remove pretty easily and design around. No, Musk said, no. There was a long pause. No mirrors, no pedals, no steering wheel. This is me taking responsibility for this decision. The executive sitting around the table hesitated. We will come back to you on that, one said. And then Musk, could you imagine telling Elon Musk, oh, we'll get back to you? I don't think that's how it goes. Elon says, let me be clear. And he said this slowly. This vehicle must be designed as a clean robotaxi. We're going to take that risk. It's my fault if it fucks up, but we are not going to design some sort of amphibian frog that's a halfway car. We are all in on autonomy. And then he says, this will be a historically mega revolutionary product. It will transform everything. This is the product that makes Tesla a $10 trillion company. People will be talking about this moment in 100 years. I think, given all the tweets Musk has put out, given this page that I read today, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that the robotaxi is the future, and that's what we have to start looking forward to as Tesla investors. And the real question, in the context of what's going to happen in regards to the stock right now, down a little bit after hours. The question is going to be how Elon communicates this for 141.86 after hours. And I just don't know. I really just don't know how he communicates this tomorrow. And so the reason I was saying I'm a little bit more optimistic for the earnings call is because I think I have more clarity on what the robotaxi could look like. I do not have clarity on the communication of Elon explaining it to millions of people tomorrow. And I think a lot of retail investors are going to be like, oh, this is stupid. We're selling the stock. I think a lot of institutional investors are going to be like, this thing's going nowhere. It's dead money until his vision pounds out, which means it's going to create a phenomenal opportunity. And those SoFi gains are going to, they're going to go right into Tesla after this happens. But I just don't know, dude. This is going to be one of the most interesting earnings ever. Could it bounce because it's been sold off and at this point 45% year to date? Yes, but there's no positive catalyst coming up besides Robotaxi. And if the communication is not good tomorrow, then the Robotaxi is not going to be exciting. They're just not going to be exciting at the end of the day for the street to be able to play this out. Matt says, if you say AI 5 times in the mirror, Robotaxi appears. I know you guys are joking with this. I'm trying to give Elon a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt, but then again, he has promised this thing for like almost 8 years and it's just not happened. And look, I'm on the side of innovation. I'm on the side of just like keep rooting on the entrepreneur. Let's support them as they're working through this. But the street doesn't care, dude. They just don't care. Jittery Hobo, the book I'm reading from was Walter Isaacson's biography on Elon Musk. That is the book that I was reading from, and he spent years with that guy documenting his life. So I think it's a good source on how Elon thinks about the overall Robotaxi. The obvious is that the street would sell off. Sell off before they already have. This is the dip. I just bought more. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Is this the dip or not? That is going to be the existential question come tomorrow. And right now, I don't really know how this thing inches substantially higher tomorrow, outside of like a sympathy bounce because the selling is done. But if they don't communicate this right tomorrow, then it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting to see how this plays out. All right, Gabriela Santos, you guys know we always love hearing from her. She's on CNBC. Let's hear what she has to say about rate hikes and cuts, and then we'll go back to talking a little bit more Tesla. Let's get some macro talk in, and we'll keep going from there.
Does take us to our talk of the tape. Where is the next move for stocks likely to be after that tumultuous end to the week? Let's ask Gabriela Santos, Chief Market Strategist for JP Morgan Asset Management, with me here at Post 9. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think about this market? Because last week was kind of rough, especially the way it ended. Now we have a nice move here into the last hour. Do you think the worst is behind us?
I think there are two separate things going on. The first was the initial macro-driven kind of correction that we saw in stocks that affected a multitude of sectors related to interest rate volatility, related to inflation expectations overshooting, related to the move higher in oil and the dollar. I think early signs that one's run its course. If you just look at Fed rate expectations for this year, quite hawkish at this point. And if you look at the performance of the equal weight on Friday, doing a lot better. So that we have more comfort has run quite a long way. But I think this week it's game time for the second bit of the story, which is much more around mega cap technology related to earnings and initial signs that, great's just not good enough given valuations, positioning, and sentiment. And this week will be a key week for that.
You think this was a comeuppance of sorts for the higher for longer idea? Because the market kind of brushed that off for a while. The bond market kind of got there and stocks have taken a little bit. Is that in part what this is?
I think it's all about the interest rate volatility, because what was interesting is the first quarter yields moved higher, but interest rate volatility actually fell to the lowest since before the Fed started raising rates. And then it just became a positive growth story and perhaps a high for longer, which is okay, can be absorbed by stocks. What changed in April was all of a sudden you had to shoot up in interest rate volatility, and you actually brought back the higher for longer discussion because it became much more about inflation and, oh my goodness, do we need to price in a chance that we go back to actually speaking about rate hikes? And that
today, the market is saying we don't believe that's going to be the case. We just care about AI and earnings, but that could change with bad data.
last bit we think is overdone. The bar is quite high here to actually reintroduce hikes, and we heard that from Chair Powell, and we expect interest rate vol to calm down from here.
What do you think about valuation overall, the market? If valuation was justified before, an elevated valuation like 20 times, right? If not a little bit higher than that, justified on the idea of good earnings growth, good economy, and rates are going to be coming down. So can we have our cake and eat it too? If now we've pushed out rate cuts, if rates are going to remain higher for longer, can we justify the multiple of the market relative to even earnings growth expectations now coming down? How do we square all that?
Yeah, and I think in the short term, you're really seeing multiple contraction. That's really but what's happening here in April. You've had a decline of 6% in the multiple at the same time that earnings have hung in there. And that's just to account for some of these more uncertainties we talked about. But I think if we zoom out, once we have a recovery after what we think is a temporary correction, then yes, I do think valuations can stay elevated as long as it's still a story about a soft landing and high for longer, but not rate hikes coming back and then hard landing fears. But that's where, Scott, really it's beneath the surface in the market. And to us, the major story is the eventual decrease as the year goes on of the earnings growth alpha of Mag 7 versus the rest of the market. And then it becomes not just about a hope of broadening out, but a reality which meets earnings recovery plus more discounted valuation.
That is basically Tom Lee's thesis as well. I mean, she has a pretty similar thesis to Tom Lee. And that's why I think, her argument makes a lot of sense. A lot of this hinges on if inflation's coming down again. Those oil prices this morning we saw were coming down. 10 years still being a little annoying. Oil prices down after hours as well. 10 years is still annoying at 4.6, probably going to stay there for a bit. 4.615, it is down a little bit. It was at 4.667 this morning. Getting that down to 4.4 would be very exciting. I think it's probably not going to happen, but those two things are being a little bit stickier for the market to be able to reconcile. The other reason I like her is because she's not bearish. And, I love Liz Young, beautiful woman, very good at macro analysis as well, but she's bearish, dude. Like you can't fall in love with someone who's bearish. You just can't do it. It's too much pessimism. I can't do it. So I really like Gabriella because her eye symmetry is on point. She'll stare into your soul and she'll stare into your soul and tell you that the market's going to go up, which is the only thing that really matters to me. So that's what we got in the context of Gabriella. Let's look at how some of these stocks are doing after hours. Tesla, 141.60. Tomorrow's a big day, folks. It's a big day. Bring your popcorn, bring your soda, bring your liquor and alcohol if you're a heavy Tesla shareholder because you might need it tomorrow. Like bring everything and get ready for this stream tomorrow. Because we're going to see, dude, we're going to freaking see what the hell Elon has. Elon's been so calm on Twitter. He's like literally tweeting about random shit. It almost makes me feel like he's too calm and he knows something that we don't know about the earnings. And he's going to say something that the street's going to love. Like there's a part of me that feels that. The other part of me is like, he just doesn't give a fuck. Like he really doesn't care if Tesla goes down to like 300 billion or whatever. Now, what's going to be interesting, guys, is if Tesla goes down to 300 billion in market cap, right? So it falls closer to that $100 share price. Does Elon still get compensated with this $50 billion package? I will still vote yes, and I'm sure a majority of people will still vote yes, but there is going to be a fraction of people that feel like he doesn't deserve, 20% of the market cap in compensation, which, by the way, from my understanding, I was doing some research over the weekend. If he gets 50 billion, that gets diluted onto shareholders, like in options. Even if he doesn't like sell that stock, they have to like print those shares. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure shareholders get diluted if you dump that into the overall float. Like the float gets a little bigger, which means there is a bit more dilution. I might be wrong on that, but if that's the case, that's also another thing you have to watch out for in terms of the stock price taking a little bit of a hit. Guy says, I'm a Tesla and Enphase shareholder. I have the beers cooled and ready to go for tomorrow night. Yeah, Enphase, another one. We're going to see what the hell happens in the context of Enphase. Amit, did you see the video from 2019 that Elon shared today on X? Basically, in the video, he's saying that the Robotaxi is the same $25,000 car without pedals and steering. Yes, I did see that. And one other thing that Elon liked, here's thank you for bringing that comment, because Elon shared these videos of him talking about AI, but he also liked to tweet. And this is the tweet. Well, he liked a couple tweets. First, let me show you guys this thing. So let me show you this clip of, this is a 1-minute clip of James Doma talking about Tesla and FSD. And then Elon responded to it today. And I'll show you guys what he said.
It coming down the line and how much compute and data, everything going forward, that they just must be really excited right now, I think, just to see the level of, of improvement, especially with the latest FSD.
12.3, it was still it was a 2023 build. I mean, you could tell from the firmware number, right? And generally what we saw through V11, right, was that the things that were getting in customers' hands were 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 months old, right? So Tesla's already looking at the one we're going to get in 6 months. So, I mean, they may, why does it take them 6 months? Well, they do all this testing and validation. There's tweaking. There's all these waves of rolling it out to be super safe and whatnot. So the pipe is deep between when they first, they're going to know the potential.
Yeah.
When, the first couple of weeks after they do those initial builds. So, they already mostly know what we're going to have in 6 months. And so they don't.
And so Elon, right? Elon sees this and he comments, James is largely correct. We know roughly what the car will do in 3 to 6 months. When a more advanced AI model is trained, it will have several breakthroughs, but also dozens of bugs where it performs much worse. Takes a few months to fix those bugs and complete safety tests. Basically 12.4, which they just did 12.3, 12.4, that's coming out. Elon's hinting here that it's not quite 13, but we know what 13 looks like because we're giving you guys the model that's like, less sophisticated than the one we're currently working on to test that out. And so the argument is that Elon figured out, or Elon and team knows that FSD is really getting to that point, and that's the surprise they might do on earnings. Another post that Elon liked today from this guy, I'm totally thrilled that the likelihood of Tesla launching unsupervised FSD in the first markets in the coming 12 months is increasing dramatically, a move that will inevitably make many retail investors very wealthy. So basically this guy is saying that unsupervised FSD, which means like 100% real FSD, is coming in 12 months. That's the timeline he put in the tweet. That's what Elon liked. Now, granted, you got to take this with a grain of salt because Elon himself has called him the boy who cries FSD. So Elon liking and saying that, yeah, we're already 6 months ahead and the latest model we already know is that good. And in 12 months, FSD without being supervised, which is like full autonomy, or at least the first version of full autonomy, is going to be rolled out. You either believe him or you don't. If you believe him and the stock tanks and he ends up being right, it is one of the greatest dip opportunities ever. If he's wrong and you buy the dip and it doesn't happen, you're stuck holding a bag. If he's right, but it takes more time, you are still holding a bag. And so there's two scenarios where you hold a bag if you buy this dip or buy at these levels. There's one scenario where you don't hold a bag, and that one scenario requires you to wait for it to drop and buy the dip on it because he ends up being right over like the next 12 months. I don't know which of those scenarios is going to play out, right? I don't know which of those scenarios is going to play out. Doug says Elon has never missed an FSD timeline. The sarcasm is fully evident in your comment, Doug. And so I think that, the street also at this point, there's a lot of opportunities out there in the market. I know we pumped really well, but I mean, I think the street's going to be looking at an Nvidia that's down 8% now and say, well, there's a much more sophisticated moat there than Tesla's that is not, we're not betting on it 10 years from now. We're not betting on some robotaxi. We're betting on this right now, and it's producing revenue right now. A little bit more expensive than Tesla, but still. I think the street's going to look at some undervalued sectors like IWM, right? Small caps that if they believe rate cuts are coming, IWM is going to break out eventually. That's going to happen maybe by September, October, and that's something the street can get excited for. There's obviously some crypto companies, the street. Like there's money that can move to different areas outside of Tesla. It's not like Tesla is the only deep value opportunity that exists. And if Elon doesn't convince the street that it's deep value opportunity, I don't know what the street does. And that's why tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting to see what ends up happening for Tesla. Harshil Patel says, what's the price target for Palantir going into earnings? I think it can gap back up to 25. I think that's very reasonable if customer count goes up in Q1. I'll do a full Palantir preview in the coming weeks more aggressively. But I think that can happen. Here's the question when it comes to Palantir. That's the update on Tesla. So Elon tweeted a bunch of stuff. They fired the advertising team, and tomorrow's going to be a big day. We'll see what happens in the world of Tesla. I'll be live covering it. I'll have a couple friends joining the stream. Bring your popcorn, bring your beer. It's going to be a fun one to see what happens. Now, here's the question for Palantir. Let's say Palantir dips back down to 17, 18. Palantir has $4 billion in cash. My question is, do you think they should buy back their stock? I have been on record saying I don't want them to buy back the stock. I think it's stupid. Get the net interest income. It's more valuable than their stock. Definitely when the stock was at 23, 24, no way in hell I think they should be buying back the stock. If we dip down to 17, which I don't think it happens, dude. I think the S&P would have to fall to 484, 480-ish, 475 for that to really happen because, fundamentally, I don't think anything bad is happening with Palantir. Then I don't think it's that crazy to buy 250 million of your stock at $17. Like the market's shown appetite to get Palantir all the way to 27. Is it the worst thing to buy a little bit of the float? I don't think it does much for increasing the fundamentals or the financials of the company, the EPS or anything like that. It would just be kind of like a gift to shareholders, which I don't think they need to do because if you can collect more on the income on that cash and secure profitability, given the business itself is not as profitable, I think that's probably a better idea. But if we get back down to 17, 18, Not crazy. Not crazy at all. Again, I don't think they need to do a buyback. I would not be campaigning for them to do a buyback, but I also don't think it would be insane if 17, 18 they get a buyback. Guy says buybacks are better than dividends. Buffett said it too. Also, yeah, the Palantir shareholder questions. I'll do a video on that. Today's video is going to be on Palantir in Germany. That comes out at 6 p.m. Basically, we're releasing daily Palantir every day at 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. that video will be out. But tomorrow we'll be talking about the shareholder questions that were asked. Always an exciting time to see some of those questions. Obviously, one of those questions had to be, when is Palantir paying a dividend? It's not for a long time. I can answer that question for you, but we'll go through all the different shareholder questions as well. But again, I don't think they need to do a buyback. I wouldn't care if they do it at 17, 18. Do I think we get there? Not really. But if we do get there, not the craziest thing in the world to do a buyback. Meta here at 482. Coinbase at 226, Ethereum 3,100 right now, MicroStrategy 1324. Matterport did get that buyout today. They're up 175%. So if you had Matterport or Matterport options, you've done very well today. I think Jesse loaded up on Matterport, so shout out to Jesse. He got this one right. I don't even think he knew a buyout was coming. I think he just thought on the technicals it was undervalued a couple weeks ago. But this one did well today as well. And closing the day at 480, right now at 471. There's a gap between this and the 550 buyout price target, but I think most people that, if you had your gains, then you got to secure those gains today in case the deal doesn't happen, which I think is unlikely. But if it does, then it would be good to get those gains. The interesting thing about Matterport is that this was a company that was, if we just look at their 5-year, dude, this was $37 at one point in 2021, So it's getting bought out at 550. And honestly, it's good to see this company get bought out because this was probably more of a zero interest rate phenomena company as well. Seeing them get bought out and gets rid of those retail investors that have money stuck in Matterport for no reason, right? I do think it clears up a little bit of the froth and some of the excess waste that came from the 2021 era. Like Bumble, this thing needs to get bought out. Why is this thing a public company, dude? This is not, this thing was $84. It's $10.35. The founder, who was a rock star founder, she left the company. Someone needs to buy, there's a lot of these companies that just need to get bought out. But right now they're still there. VK had some Matterport calls. Not bad. Very nice. So good to go. Lecky Lifestyle says, since Amit mostly replies back to members, we need someone to buy us free membership. Okay, that's just not true. I think I replied to pretty much any question I see in the chat. Obviously, it's not easy to get to every single question, but I definitely don't have a requirement to do a super chat or be a member to respond to the chat. Oh, Derek, I just seen his comment right here. As I say, I respond to every comment. I miss Derek's comment. Okay, so me and Derek have a bet. Now, granted, I'm on the side of you guys for this bet, or at least for the Bulls for this bet. Jonathan says, question, does Amit answer questions? Yes, Jonathan, I see your questions. By the way, Jonathan got a nice haircut. I like that picture on Twitter. It's a nice haircut. So me and Derek have a bet, and the bet is that, okay, if Tesla goes up tomorrow, so by Wednesday, 4 p.m., so one day after earnings, he has to buy me a share. If Tesla ends red Wednesday, 4 p.m., I have to buy him a share. But it's not just a regular share. It is a physical share. So we have to order a share for each other from this website. By the way, he forced me into this bet. Okay, I don't think Tesla's going to do the best after earnings, but I had to take the bullish side of this because he's more on the bearish side. But this is the company giveashare.com. You can literally buy physical shares, and you can get a quote engraved on the share. So if Elon says some stupid shit, I'm going to get that engraved on the bottom of the share, and he will have the share forever from me. We were joking, if Tesla goes to $90, I'll get a better deal on this bet. I'll lose less money by getting this share. Matt says, look like who thinks I'm buying him a share tomorrow? Who thinks I'm buying a share? And who thinks I'm getting a share of Tesla tomorrow? Steve showed you that. Yeah, Steve did. Steve has a Palantir share. And his Palantir quote is our results this quarter were bombastic. He picked a really good quote for his share. Go F yourself. Could you imagine, dude? Could you imagine if Elon says that tomorrow to a Wall Street analyst, dude? That'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious, dude. I think the stock would tank 20% if Elon says, go fuck yourself right there. That's just, there's no way he could say that, dude. There's no way. Look at Derek already fucking bragging, dude. Excited to get a share. If Elon pulls some shit out of his hat and this thing goes up to 150, it would be crazy. Now, granted, I think that's the extent of what it could go up to. Could it go up back to 170? No, that's not happening. I think, honestly, I think this thing's tanking tomorrow. Like, if I got to be honest, but maybe there's a shot that Elon says something revolutionary about robotaxis, but he's probably not, dude. Like, I think, dude, when Dan freaking Ives has to go on CNBC and get bearish about Tesla, when Dan Ives is the most bullish Wall Street dude on Tesla. When he has to get bearish, you know something's wrong, dude. Like you know something is going up. And to see him turn as bearish as he has over the past, basically he's given Musk a warning. He's been giving Musk a warning for the past couple of days. He's basically been saying, if Elon acts like a child and they get rid of the M2 and they do some pseudo pivot to robotaxi with the regulatory environment not even being set up till 2030 for that to be in effect, I'm pretty sure Dan Ives is getting ready to downgrade the stock pretty substantially. Like, we're talking about a major downgrade. So we'll see how that plays out. But if Elon does not convince people, then I'm going to be buying Derek a share. Speaking of the Disney go F yourself comment, November, Elon said this to Bob Iger. Since then, Tesla shares are down 40%. Disney shares are up 20%. So Disney shares have outperformed Tesla by 60% since Elon said go F yourself to Bob Iger. Kind of crazy. Derek here puts in the chat. So this is a topic of conversation me and Derek have been having for the past couple of weeks now. Derek has been short Tesla since $187. So like it was a hell of a time to go short. You know, a lot of people in our community, Matt, he sold some of his Tesla. Vitaly sold some of his Tesla. Derek said instead of selling some of his Tesla, he just bought a shit ton of puts on Tesla. So he's been short Tesla since 187. And obviously those puts have printed because the stock's at 140. But if it collapses to 130 tomorrow, those puts are really going to print. I mean, those puts are really going to fucking print. So we'll see. Either he gets a share from me, or he uses some of those put profits to buy me a share if we go green in a day. I'm Beneficial says 43,000 shares of Robinhood have been bought at 1725. Whoa. Wow. Look at that. You're right. Let me see if I can find that on the order flow. 40. Oh, look at this one, dude. Holy shit. Look at this one. 288,000 shares at 1719. Do you see this? That's why it's up 0.87% after hours. Do you see that, guys? The green line. Someone bought over the counter 288,000 shares at 1719. How much is that? And then someone else bought 43,000. How much is that? 288 times 1719. Someone spent 5 million. Yo, okay, it's not Kathy. It's definitely not Kathy. But I wonder who fucking did that, dude. That's a big buy. Let me go to the order flow on the app. Wow, got some big whales in the chat. Big W's in the chat. Someone bought that. Let's look at the order flow. That is incredible, dude. Holy crap. Yeah, look at this right here. You got someone else at 7. So someone bought 288,000 shares at 1719. Someone bought 43,000 shares. You see that? At 1725. Look at that green wall. Joe saying Amit acting like he wasn't the one buying Hood. Dude, I have so much fucking Robinhood. It's disgusting. Like, I have so much of this company relative to, me. I know, I'm not a whale, but I have a lot in this company. So we'll see. My position's done. Someone was asking me today, hey, are you buying more Robinhood? No, dude, I bought I have enough Robinhood at this point. Like, at this point, like when this thing goes up a couple cents, like this thing affects me a lot. So I'm waiting to see how this plays out, but I think it's going to be it's going to be fucking fun. Someone also tweeted this chart to me this morning on Robinhood. I already knew this, but just to show you guys again, Robinhood peaked at number 3 on March 5th in the App Store in finance, but also they peaked at number 52. I can't find the chart, but they peaked at number 52 overall. Number 52 on the US App Store is like hundreds of thousands of downloads a day, dude. And that was in March. We didn't get the March numbers, remember? Because we're going to get the earnings numbers, so we don't get March. So I think March is going to be crazy. I think the quarter is going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. All right, so we're getting some people bullish after hours on Robinhood. So there we go. Amit, I bought the 47,000 shares. I found the money in my couch, pocket change for me. I'm happy we got the whales in the chat, dude. I'm happy we got the whales in the chat. Nvidia, 795 right now. Palantir 2090, Robinhood 1728 after hours. TFC ended up doing really well, up 3.4%, $38. They had an okay earnings, but the market boosted them up as we started to get that like mid-hour rally at 12 p.m. And then Snapchat right here, 1114, down about 0.18% on the day. QQQ as well, NASDAQ up 1% as well. Arrow says, I bought Tesla shares at 160, 150, and 140. If it goes to 130, I'll add again. Also been adding AMT this past week at around $170 a share. Dude, the other thing about Tesla and buying the 130 dip, if it gets to like 130, is that if it gets to 130, there's going to be a coordinated amount of selling by Wall Street. Like retail's not tanking this bad boy to 130. This is going to be a significant amount of the street offloading their position. And the question becomes, when a significant amount of the street offloads their position, what does that do to retail psychology that's bought into the whole Elon is the GOAT, thesis, which I think that thesis is correct, but it really tests your thesis when a stock goes down that much. Also, does retail have money left to buy the dip? Because if retail doesn't have money left to buy the dip, then they're just going to be either taking a loss or they're going to be bag holding, which means I don't know what the catalyst will be to get it to, jump from that 130 level outside of institutions coming back in. And if institutions leave at 140, why would they come back at 130 or 125, right? Speaking of energy and Tesla, here's something I saw really interesting today. So Sam Altman made his first seed investment in a very long time. $20 million seed led by him and Andreessen Horowitz into ExoWatt, which is working on delivering low-cost energy to data centers. And the company for Frontier Energy Tech is located in Miami. Miami continues to get some of the coolest startups in the world, and Sam Altman ends up investing in one of them. Now, why am I bringing this to everybody's attention? Energy we've been talking about is going to be, I think all of us can agree, one of the next big opportunities when it comes to investing, because AI doesn't exist without energy infrastructure and without these data centers being able to operate in some capacity through clean energy, renewable energy, because you just can't keep using the types of energy that we've been using historically. If we had full self-driving, like legit full self-driving, it wouldn't even work in the United States, like at a countrywide scale, because we don't have the energy infrastructure on the grid to support it. So there's going to need to be a lot of energy to support the AI data compute, and then also the actual grid that powers all of that from an electrical perspective. And there's going to have to be startups that innovate in this respect. So I think a ton of money is going to go into the space, and we all need to figure out what are the public companies that exist so we can get some exposure here, because it seems obvious that AI is the next wave, but energy is going to be needed to support AI in a significant way as well. And so we'll see. Battery tech is essential to do all of this. That's another thing. Enovix, right? That's why people like that one. Now, granted, that one is very risky to bet on because you just don't know how it'll turn out. But the reason it has a cult following is because people know that energy and batteries are the future to be able to operationalize AI in any significant way. And so we'll see what happens. KeyBank Capital Markets adjusted their Robinhood price target to 23 from 22. Okay, there you go. Another price target upgrade on Robinhood. I didn't even see that this morning, so thanks for that on Beneficial. I did not see that at all today. Pretty much everyone on the street now has them at 20 above. I think Morgan Stanley is the only one that has them at 18. But pretty much everyone on the street has Robinhood at 20 or above. And so if they crush earnings, we should see a good couple of months for Robinhood, and probably end of the year for Robinhood as well. It also depends on Bitcoin, but I think if their results crush and Bitcoin does well, Robinhood can do well. Is Tesla not energy? Well, see, this is the interesting comment you bring up. Tesla is an energy play, and Tesla likely should be getting some more of a premium because of the energy side of the business that's going to be needed to finance all the infrastructure to be able to make AI operate. The problem is Tesla actually building energy at that scale, and are they focused enough to scale that part of their business, given they have a lot of other focuses like FSD and Robotaxi, to be able to ultimately make that appeal to investors that, hey, the energy business is a $100 billion business in and of itself. I don't know yet. Maybe Elon takes that angle on the earnings call tomorrow, right? Maybe he pivots to say, look, all this AI needs energy and you guys have been discounting our energy business, and like, that's really stupid. You need to pay attention to this. And the numbers, will show triple digit growth to be able to support that. But I don't know if that's the angle that they end up taking tomorrow. And so we'll see. Joe says, question Amit, how soon do you think we have charger app like Uber where people would allow strangers, Tesla's vehicles, or EVs to charge in their driveway and pay a fee? So that would basically be like Airbnb, but for your charging attached to your house. I don't see that happening because that's really weird for me to pull up to someone's house and then start using their charging outlet. Now, granted, that's the same reason people didn't invest in Airbnb in 2008, because like, who would let you stay in your house? So like, it's a bad reason why I'm saying this is a bad idea, because literally Airbnb is the exact same thing. Maybe that could happen. No, that's interesting. So basically, I have a house, I have an EV charging station, and like a car can pull up to my driveway, random car, and they can just plug in, and I get paid for them using my energy. And that increases the network effect of the amount of stations that exist, charging stations. I mean, I don't know. Superchargers are faster. That is also true, Doug says. Some more superchargers fixes this. I think there's now 16,000 worldwide. Yeah, it is a little bit of a interesting idea. I personally don't see that playing out necessarily. I think just build more superchargers, that gets the job done. Also, charging is, I mean, sometimes charging takes a long time. Do you really want to sit in someone's random driveway for 30? It's like, it's not like, I don't know. I don't think that would be the way this would go. But more superchargers does help. Now, I wonder if Elon's going to talk about superchargers as well tomorrow, because if he doesn't, I think, people are looking for him to talk about a little bit more about the growth of that. But even if he does, I don't know if that has substantial implications on their numbers. We know Tesla's going to win the supercharging network race. Are they going to put up the numbers tomorrow or the guidance tomorrow that proves that, in the short term, they deserve to gain momentum? I don't know. We will see. We will see how it plays out. Derek says charging from a house is too slow. It will take 10 hours. Yeah, that's the other thing, dude. If your house is not like, if your house isn't ready with the most equipped infrastructure, which is supercharger, like proper network, would be orders of magnitude ahead of what like a house could provide you, then that thesis probably just doesn't play out in general. Doug says they already sell the destination chargers and superchargers to businesses, but not to consumers. It's a B2B business for charging, not a B2C, unless it's a part of the Tesla charging network. Well, that's the exciting bull case about the superchargers and robotaxi. Robotaxi is anyone that has a Tesla theoretically can put their Tesla onto the network, and then when you're not using the Tesla can go do a robotaxi assignment, like an Uber assignment, and you get paid from that. And then on the B2B side, the supercharging, they license out to all these different companies that could use it. Ford, Volkswagen, all these guys, also licensing them FSD. Like, if Tesla gets to $100, I think it truly would be one of the most insane opportunities, because if you believe in Elon's vision around FSD, which, yes, he's the boy who cried FSD, but we know that the world is going to a place where FSD is happening. Like, the data advantage on FSD has become monumental. It's almost like YouTube versus Hollywood. When YouTube started off with random people uploading videos onto the internet, eventually that was going to scale to billions of people wanting to consume videos from people they actually cared about, not just like talking heads on TV, but also individual people felt that they could get a name for themselves, build a brand, and there was open access. And then this network effect explodes, because we know it's inevitable that Hollywood-style films are being created by some of the most, unique individuals on the planet, and they get free distribution on YouTube. And if it's a good thumbnail title, that video can get way more views than a movie would ever get. I think it's the same thing with full self-driving. Like, we know Tesla already had 1 billion miles of FSD passed. That number is going to get better and better and better as FSD adoption goes up. Even if the price of FSD goes down, the data is more valuable than the price. I think Elon would even argue in the short term. So we know if this is a question of compounding exponentiality into the progress, which is what happened with LLMs, and now look at where we are with GPT-5, full self-driving will be a thing. So the question becomes, what is the price point you want to go long on Tesla? And tomorrow, the street's going to be upset in the short term if Elon says everything I said in a much more calmer and sophisticated way, but still not enough to get the street excited. And they're going to sell it off. And so the question is going to be, how close do we think it's happening? And what valuation really makes sense to go deep on, given the sell-off, which I think we all know is going to happen. And we'll see. Because if this thing gets to $100, dude, like, this might be one of the greatest opportunities in the market. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that. I really do. If Palantir got to $10 again, I think it would be one of the greatest opportunities in the market. Tesla going to $100, given everything we think. What is the stock market? The stock market is betting on potential. GM, Ford, Mercedes, all these guys, they're going to be around, but they're not going to have anywhere near the potential of Tesla. I mean, Ford literally shut down their EV factory in Michigan. They laid off 600 people back in January because they weren't selling enough EVs, right? Like there's just not enough demand for their versions of EVs. If we believe EVs are the future and FSD is the future, I think Tesla is the future. The question is what valuation makes it exciting to get into Tesla. Blake says 130 lows. Okay, let's end it on this. and then I'll get you guys out of here. And then I got to go to the gym so I can continue to get these gains. And I'm not a defense contractor, but I need to keep building my guns. I know I used the joke twice. Kill me, okay? I used the joke twice. I used it last time. Maybe some people weren't there on the market open that didn't hear the joke, so I did the joke again, okay? Sometimes you got to like advertise. You got to show people 7 times before they laugh. Like sometimes you got to use the joke over again, okay? What price do you think Tesla bottoms at tomorrow after the earnings? Let's put that in the chat. What price do you think? Ron's trying to be funny. Don't forget your gloves. Dude, I wore gloves one time to the gym. I never wear gloves. I wore gloves one time 2 weeks ago. I put a picture on Twitter. I get roasted. Dude, I had a Palantir employee message me and roast me for this shit. And I was just like, dude, you're supposed to be my friend here. Like you're supposed, like, this is just like the amount of roasting that I was getting from these people. It was ridiculous. The amount of people that were roasting. It was so bad. All right, what do we got? 130, 125, 128, 60. Good God, dude, 60. 120. Derek Wall says 122. Again, my bet with Derek is I have to give him a share if this thing ends red on Wednesday. 130, 121, 125. Damn, you guys are bearish, dude. I'm saying 145 just to go against everybody. We end 145. Fuck this. Too much fucking bearishness in the chat. Dude, this is Elon Musk. This is Elon Musk. How dare you guys bet against Elon Musk, dude? How fucking dare you guys? This man slept on the factory in 2008. He had nothing but his raw fucking hands. He almost went bankrupt on Christmas Eve. Fucking got rockets up into space. You guys want to bet against Elon? All right. I'll take that bet. 145. 140 fucking 5. Everyone wants to be so bearish here. Fucking respect Elon. Goodness gracious. Everyone wants to discount this man. Why are you saying happy birthday? It's not my birthday. You've said this twice. unless someone told you it was my birthday. It's not my birthday. But it's going to be my birthday when Derek has to buy me a share when this thing closes at 140, dude. Or 145. Sell a put for 145. Dude, if I had some fuck you money, I would do it. I would do it for the hell of it. I would do it for the hell of it. Everyone is bearish, dude. Literally everybody. I think there's like 4 people that think it won't be below 140. We love him so much we want to buy his stock lower. Goodness gracious. I'm doing 145. That's it. That's my price. 145. If we end on 145, dude, everyone in the chat has to buy me a fucking share if that happens. And if I fucking get this one right, no. Okay, in all seriousness, I do think it's going to tank after hours. But I'm going 145 just to go against the grain. But like gun to my head, if like my life depended on it, yeah, I think Tesla's going to tank after hours, dude. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be so bad. It's going to be bad. Why is everyone saying happy birthday now, dude? Is this some insider? Do you guys have some group chat where you're conspiring on how to like make me fucking confused in the chat? Like the muted joke when you guys say I'm muted when I'm not muted. Like what the fuck is going on? Happy birthday. Goodness. It will be my birthday, October 27th. I will be turning 27 on October 27th. So we got to make this a good birthday, dude. It'll be the year of 27 on the 27th. What are you betting? So me and Derek have a bet that if Tesla's red on Wednesday after earnings, 24 hours after earnings, I have to buy him a physical share, which you can do on certain websites. And if not, he has to buy me a share. So we'll see, dude. I'm getting ready to get my bank account ready to buy this stupid share. Could you imagine I get to buy it at like 120? I get a cheaper price on the share because it goes down. Dude, that would be hilarious. I get a cheaper price on the share because the thing actually goes down that much. That would be hilarious, dude. It would be hilarious. All right. That's it for me. Thank you for all the happy birthdays. It's not my birthday, but I appreciate all the happy birthdays. What did you wish for? Honestly, I wish for a good old juicy Tesla dip. My SoFi, my goal is to sell my SoFi hopefully at a 40-50% gain on April 29th. And then if Tesla's still at like 120 by then, just dump all that into Tesla. And so I think that would be the play. But let's see if Tesla can get there. Dude, I'm so excited. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sleep. This is gonna be one of those earnings that's like a lot of things depend on this one going okay. And I think Elon's just not gonna give a fuck. Elon's just gonna be him and just not care. I'm not muted and it's not my birthday, okay? I'm not muted and it's not my birthday. I appreciate you guys saying it, but it's not my birthday and I'm not muted. All right. I think that's it for me. Cool. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. Daily Palantir will be dropping at 6 p.m. We'll be going deeper into Palantir in Germany. Tomorrow, big day. Make sure you're ready tomorrow. Honestly, dude, if you have some sick days, like take a sick day tomorrow. If you have some sick days and you can take a sick day, like tomorrow's just going to be a fun day, just following all day long. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about like all day. There's going to be coverage. So if you have a sick day, I mean, shit, take a holiday. This is going to be a really exciting event. This is going to be Super Bowl for finance. Like this is going to be more important than Meta, Google, Microsoft. Like, Palantir is a big event for all of us, but in terms of the broader stock market, Tesla is going to matter a lot more. So this is a big one. Oh, wow. Look at that comment by Sam. The most fucking disrespectful comment. This one hurts my soul. Okay? This one hurts. We're going to end it right here, but this one hurts my soul. She says, make sure you are up tomorrow. Thankfully, the earnings are after hours, and I'm not a guy who takes naps in the middle of the day. So I'll be here. But dude, I was watching that video over the weekend where I overslept on CPI. And like literally I woke up and everyone in the chat was like, check the market. And as soon as I checked the market, the S&P I was like, oh shit, dude, the CPI was 3.5. Like I went to sleep expecting a regular CPI. I overslept the market open. I wake up and you're just bombarded with horrible news. And I wonder tomorrow, are we walking in with expectations like, all right, it's going to be bad, but we don't know how bad it's going to be. Like we knew CPI was going to be hot, but it was hot last time. And then the market tanked that day. Maybe that ends up happening with Tesla too. Maybe that ends up happening. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Thank you, everybody. Finance Junkies tonight, 9 p.m. We'll talk more. And Raytheon and Lockheed have earnings tomorrow. Spotify's earnings tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day in the morning as well. So we're going to have to discuss all that stuff. Philip, your comment is hilarious. Oh my God. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the morning. Bye, everyone.